Welcome to the next level with Keith, where clarity replaces confusion and simple systems lead to real freedom. Every episode begins with intention, music that centers your mind, lifts your spirit, and prepares you for transformation. This is your space for growth, your place to reset, your moment to rise. Rethinking your thinking, because when you shift your mind, you shift your money. Stack and grow, where small intentional steps turn into lasting wins. Simple strategies, real progress. Your circle, your currency, because your network matters. Mobile money moves, business, income, and empowerment from the device in your pocket. This isn't just talk, it's guidance, it's strategy, it's movement. Welcome to the next level with Keith. Let's begin.
The next level, the next level, the next level, next level with Keith. The next level, the next level, the next level, next level with Keith. You landed here and it's no mistake. You best believe this could be your break. Rub-a-dub-dub, check out the hubs inside. A winning team is here to be your guide. Oh, my friend, you've been looking for a brand new day.
Thank you. This night or this episode, I'm going to keep it real tight. All right. Typically, I have the music playing for the entire song, but tonight it's a bit of a different episode. Let me say first, welcome, and thank you for stopping by. Truly excited, and I stay excited even when life have its turns and twists and that kind of thing and surprises. You got to learn to stay excited, and I try to do that because I think it's important for your well-being and for your mental health. So again, welcome to episode 26, and tonight is going to be a very interesting and different kind of show. I want to thank the network for being with me in season one. That was 21 episodes, and now they're still here with me, and I thank them for that and for what they've done to really let this podcast did what it did so far. All right. But tonight I want to say that I'm grateful to all of you who have walked with me so far. All right. And there may be new people that are now seeing this podcast here, The Next Level with Keith. And you might be hearing something that you probably weren't expecting to hear, but it is what it is, right? Sometimes life does have its twists and turns. So tonight's show, which is titled "Shifting What's Coming Next and Why Your Growth Still Matters." All right, shifting what's coming next and why your growth still matters. I kind of borrowed that the title. I thought it was very much a cool title, and it did align with what I had in mind. So I say, you know what? That's a great title. I used it. I'm gonna use it tonight for this particular episode. So tonight is a bit of a farewell episode. All right, bit of a farewell episode, a transitional episode. All right, doesn't mean it may be permanent. It may not be permanent, but as of now, it's a farewell show. But I do want to kind of connect with you still here and kind of tell you where I'm at and maybe what to look forward to moving forward. Sometimes making changes or making modifications, all right? Sometimes it's never always a bad thing, all right? Sometimes it's always necessary on your journey to where you're trying to go. So I do want to say welcome and your viewership here means a lot. It means a lot, and has meant a lot over the last 3 months or so. So, want to kind of share something with you that I've talked about a few times in my episodes. In fact, I've mentioned it quite a few times that I'm seeing some success on offline, and I've been having success offline, which I like. And one of my goals prior to launching the podcast was to actually expand the visuality of what I was sharing, kind of broaden that thing, give it more eyeballs. And what really kind of, um, I would say, pushed me to do that was what I kept hearing and my own research and my own observation. And looking at AI, that's artificial intelligence, how it's impacting our everyday doings, how it's impacting every sector of our world. I know rapidly it's moving. So it's not just here, but it's moving very, very, very fast. And sometimes when you trying to bring about an awareness or an alert, a lot of times how quickly you move on that is important. And I believe the next 2, 3 years is going to be significant, not only here in the United States, but globally. What is being, I would say, done now, right? Some is out in the open, and some things are covert, right? But it's taking place. Excuse me. And so within the next 3 years, I've been talking about what we want to do now in preparation for the next 3 years. So I've been talking about what want to do now, not 3 years from now, right? And some things I believe needs to be looked at now so folks can see more clearly what they need to do now. I don't want it to be where you got the idea 2, 3 years from now when the idea was for you to get it now, not 3 years from now. And so being on this podcast, it's been a very interesting ride, very interesting move for me. It's first time, right? And for you, maybe a lot of things in your life were first time, right? Whether it was your first vacation, whether it was your first marriage, your first child, right? So in my world, I've also experienced a lot of firsts, right? And a podcast for me was a first. Now, for many, many years, I've had a YouTube channel, all right? And for many years, I've had one that was not active, and it came upon where it became active, right? And even got to the point of monetization, all right? And those are to me good things, right? But I find that as I look to make a shift, I want to share something with you just from a heart to heart, transparent kind of a approach here. I've had several feedbacks from I started this podcast, and I kept looking for the feedbacks, looking what they were saying and what they were not saying. All right. And again, for every feedback, every like, every comment was always to me a wonderful thing. All right. I didn't see anything as negative because whatever feedback I get, I can glean and learn from it and use that to make things, I would say, better. All right. Instead of seeing it as a negative. But for the most part, I've gotten pretty cool responses and so forth. But as I began this podcast, I had something in mind that I wanted to achieve. And some people, they have a 2 year plan, they have a 1 year plan, they have a 6 month plan, they may have a 3 month plan. And I say, you know what I'm trying to share on my podcast is something I feel that needs to be looked at a relatively shorter span of time, not necessarily overnight. And of course, when I say overnight, it could be relative for other people, as opposed to you. Some folks, their short time is a year. For you, a short time could be 6 months. For some, it could be 3 months. For some, it could be a month. Of course, depending on what is being offered or shared and the audience, all right, to whom you're sharing it with. And so as I looked at my podcast and did some research and some probing and some thinking, I was trying to figure out how do I sum it up as to where I am, what I'm seeing, and where I think I need to go and focus on as far as what's happening now. And this thought came in my mind while I was in the shower. It's funny because a lot of my thoughts and ideas come when I'm in my shower. I find it to be so interesting. So I'm in my shower and I saw like almost like a vision or some kind of just like a little snapshot of an imagery of a farmland, like a farmland. And on this farmland, you have several things that you plant on the farmland. All right. Several different areas of patches. I remember being young and see my dad have, plant like, maybe something called thyme or tomatoes or maybe some peas. And they're not far from each other, but they're in the same area. All right. But say in this vision that I saw, or this imagery that I saw, it was like I planted four different seeds. All right, four different seeds in the land. All right. Now I want everything to grow because that's why they're planted there, right? And so therefore you plant, but these seeds they're supposed to grow pretty much at a similar time. All right. I wouldn't plant like a tomato and then a mango tree and expect them to have the same kind of time to to bear fruit or to grow and become mature. They all are similar. I'll give you an example. Like here in the States, we have 4 seasons, right? And my dad used to plant in the backyard, and everything he planted had to grow within that springtime. It wasn't like if it caught winter, it would they wouldn't grow. It was all spring, um, sort of let's say crop or garden that he was planting. All right, it had to be for that spring season, and so you expect them all to grow, and they all grew. But getting back to this vision that I saw, I know I had water that I had to water these particular vegetables or plants, all right, or seeds that were in the ground. The water that I had was limited. It wasn't in excess, but I had enough water to water the seeds. Now, I'm going to water the seeds with a limited amount of water. Now, when I go to the field, I'm seeing an area where nothing is happening. It's just pretty much a dry ground. All right, dry ground. The seeds are there, and then the other area, I see a little bit of springing up of what I planted. All right, and so there are 4 patches, but 2 patches have a little springing up of the plant, and the other two, nothing was happening there. And so what I did, I took the water and I poured it on where I saw those little things growing up. So I focused on that area where I saw the thing growing up. Didn't mean that the area that was dry didn't need water, but because I was limited in the water, limited with the water, I just focused on the area where I saw the plant looking like they were not coming out of the soil, begin to grow. That was that's just what I saw, and I kind of brought it to my own self and say, you know what? I see where I I'm very, I would say, in a way, eclectic in what I do. I have different things that I focus on. And if you watch my podcast, you've seen me talk about my book, and you see me talk about digital hub and family hub, and I talk about passive income hub and so forth. And so I enjoy that concept. I enjoy being able to share and let folks know that, hey, I'm a very I'll call it um I kind of have things kind of in a diversified kind of way, and this was a good way to present it to an audience. All right. I always enjoy sharing different areas, and like I said, I talk about my music and I've done it offline. I've gone to many different events, many different places and shared. I've gone and played the saxophone. I've gone and played the guitar. I've gone and played the drums. All right. So I'm always being someone who do different things. And so it's a delicate balance in trying to focus on one thing only until, or have a balance where you can do several things, but balance it in such a way where you're not overwhelmed or you don't lose your focus or the goal in which you're trying to reach. And so sometimes that requires, a lot of skill. It requires something a good, strong network and also a good partnership if you have that. Because as a male, and I would say female tend to have an advantage when it comes to details, right? And a lot of men who have that secretary or that wife or that female who can really see the details and help them to grow. Not having that can be very, very, very challenging, right? And and so I kind of look at my podcast and say, where have I come so far after 3 months? And like I said, I watched and I pay attention to lot of the feedbacks and comments. And I also looked at my YouTube channel, which like I said, I've had for many years and I've worked it and I've seen where um, a lot of responses came from there. I've had success from there as well in certain areas. And I'm saying, wow, what's going on? I'm seeing there's a dip. There's something going on there on my YouTube channel that's kind of making me question things here. Am I really balancing things out properly? Am I really doing things on a place where I am not left-sided? And so I saw a decline happening in my on my YouTube channel, which I really couldn't explain. And I realized that that area I think needed attention. And I looked at the podcast and I saw the feedback and I was like, I'm not sure if this is what I'm looking for. I think it's a great audience, but I don't know if it's the right audience for what I'm trying to convey or share with that 3 year idea that I have in mind. And I wouldn't want it to be where after 2 3 years, the audience finally gets it, get what I'm saying, but then it's kind of missed the idea of what it was designed to do. And so for me, a bit of a touch and go, but sometimes in life you have to just make a decision and you have to kind of follow your heart and you have to also see where the audience is going and what they're saying. Because the minute I started to redirect some of my energy on my YouTube channel, I started seeing again the responses that I was looking for. I started seeing some things that are like, okay, Now that is this is making a little more sense to me, a little more clarity it was bringing to me. And so I'm like, you know what? I think I need to refocus some things and kind of let that be the main one of the main source where I can really zero in on. So that's also kind of set the stage of what tonight's show is going to be about. So, like I said, you won't hear much about anything like the hubs or the book or passive income, that kind of thing. I think all of that I will be able to share in a more for controlled, concise way where I can feel I have a better handle on just the interaction. I always say I'm a very simple layman type of guy, very simple. And I remember I heard an interview that Shaquille O'Neal, the guy named Shaq, this ex basketball player, he played for the NBA, was a big star, huge success. And I heard him once in a podcast that he doesn't do crypto when it was asked, or Bitcoin. And the guy said, "Why don't you do Bitcoin or crypto?" He said, I don't understand it." He said, "I don't understand it." I think that, uh, of course, you can tell someone, "Hey, well, go learn," or trying to understand. But there are folks who say, "Listen to me, some things, you just don't really get a grip on it. You're never going to really be able to maximize it well." And you have to know your tempo, your rhythm, because no matter how well I would say intended you are, or you could have great intentions, but it doesn't mean it's going to give you outcome that you're looking for. Because if you feel a little bit I'll call it a little bit as if you kind of grow up in the dark a little bit, it's hard to really navigate that. Even with I would say even with the network that could be around you. It's funny because I got divorced many years ago. I was married for many years. And yes, I was married and I had family around me, I had friends around me, I had church around me, right? People who cared, probably some didn't care, right? But I had folks around me. And in my mind, I was in it for the long haul. And it came to a point where we both felt that I guess it wasn't worth moving on. Whatever, it came to that point. And at that point, I said to myself, because of my kids, even though I may not be as happy as I want to be, I'm gonna still stick it out. I'm gonna still stick it out. So if my ex-wife didn't initiate a divorce, I would still be married because I had no plans and saying I'm going to go to the court or file any kind of a paper to say, well, I want a divorce. I don't think I would ever get to that point. And maybe he might have turned around at some point if she never initiated such a thing as far as a divorce. But the thing is that I'm known to be someone who will stay in one place for a long time, even with little or no result. And I've done that before. But I find that over the last year or so, a lot of my thinking has been changed as far as what I do, how long I stay, make changes, and not think so much about what other people think or feel, but how I feel about my own self, my self actualization, my mental peace, my mode, my rhythm, and so that's important as well. And I think the older you get, I'm in my 50s now. The older you get, is the more you realize that time is a very important thing, and you have to, and I have to now sometimes make sometimes very serious and sharp decisions. So. as I kind of wrote something down in my, on my notepad here to share tonight, is that I looked at myself as a creator, and one of the most valuable skills we can have as creators is the ability to pivot, adapt, and truly listen to our audience. Growth is not about staying, it's not about staying on the same path forever. It's about paying close attention to what's working and what isn't. When we listen to comments, messages, and engagement patterns, we discover clear signals that help us make better decisions. Adapting is not failure, it's care. It shows your audience that you are committed to serving them well, being authentic, and sometimes serving well is also serving them on a different station, serving them in a different location. I've gone to weddings before, and believe you me, it's an outdoor wedding. It's outside, and I've seen where you have a chair, maybe 200 people, and one side of the audience there's a tree, there's shade, and the other side is just hot. And I watched the audience literally almost fight for chairs where the shade was, or the seat was there where the sun was shining. It was the same wedding, the same officiator, the same couples getting married, same clothing, but the sun over here was just too hot. And so folks was either standing up where the shade was or sitting down because it was that hot. So they were being served the same wedding, but the location of where they were was just not the best spot to be to enjoy that wedding. Now, in life, it's not always easy to make a change. And sometimes it may take time to make that to see that change or what you're desiring. But I said, let me look hard and see what am I serving here. If I'm serving ice cream and I wait too long, it's gonna melt. It's gonna melt. All right. Some things you serve it. You serve if you're selling wine, it's like the longer the wine stays, it's if you're not careful, it actually values more. You're selling gold or diamond. The longer it stays on that shelf, if you're not careful, it is worth more. Even the saxophone, certain horns, call them vintage horns. A lot of these horns, the longer it stays, if you're not careful, is the more it's the value goes up. Some things that you serve, it needs to be it needs to be um I call it um it needs to be served and taken almost immediately or soon, otherwise it loses the purpose of what it's for. They have like they have like when they have milk or they have something that you buy and they have like a shelf life. Say, well, after this date, disregard this product because more likely it's going to be spoiled. It won't be good. All right. And there's certain canned foods that can last for 2, 3 years, no problem. All right. And so I thought about what I'm trying to, what am I trying to connect with the audience with? What am I trying to um, expose? And I realized that it's a possibility that it may not be the audience or the time for that audience. And so the audience may need to shift a little bit with me, flow with me, and you may see a different pace and you may connect with you a little differently from this particular um, place or stage, which is the podcast vibe or podcast feel or platform, right? So sometimes, you have those red flags as to what you may need to look for or look out for. All right. Now, I've noticed over the past 3 months that I talked about a lot of things on my podcast. I've sang about the hubs. I mentioned the hubs, and many of you have heard me talk about that. And for some reason, I'm really looking for questions. I think that's a very basic things. Questions about the hubs, responses about the hubs. But it felt like I had built this nice, wonderful store, and I kept hearing people saying, "Oh, that's a lovely window. I love the window stain," or "I love the way you have the bricks in front of your store," or "I love how big your store is," or "It's really nice how you have music playing in your store." But the store has merchandise in the store, and you don't hear someone say, "Hey, how much does that cost for that thing?" Or "Can I purchase that?" Or "What is that new thing?" You don't hear those kind of questions. You're gonna wonder, is my store in the right place? Is my store in the right location? And so you go outside the store and you put up a sign saying, "Hey, so and so on, come on inside. There is something for you to receive or achieve or gain or earn or get." And then you're still hearing the same comments. "Oh, a lovely store. I like the paint. I like the way the roof is situated." But you don't see folks coming inside the store. They're walking by. So that should be a concern that maybe something is not connecting. Maybe something is not quite affecting the viewer the way it's supposed to. And so, as I did some research and I figure out what is a good timeline for certain things, certain products, certain particular approaches, and based on the data I received, I'm like, it does make sense to look at where you at or where I'm at and what I'm gonna need to do to pivot um, to maybe get a different response. And so that's one of the reasons why I feel that I'm now going to be focusing my energy mainly on the YouTube channel. And like I said, the minute I did that, I saw an uptick. The message was different, and I also realized that the responses were different, and I realized that questions were different, and I realized that I also had a better handle and a better way of navigating that, responding to that, and be able to, I guess, be more effective with the viewer who might be looking or reaching out to me. And that's something that I've done many years ago, and I'm seeing a similar kind of I would say response. So that to me is key, key part of my wanting to my wanting to transition into that area. I think that the audience who just like to listen, I think the audience who enjoy a lengthy show, I think the audience who pretty much are built for certain conversations, and I think that 3 months is a good indication of where you are and where you can either keep going or where you can pivot and make changes. All right. That's what I really, really believe. Another thing is that there is a tricky thing when you diversify yourself. And like I said, I'm now doing a little less diversification and more focusing on areas that I feel that is really working. I'll give an example. I am, I would say, registered on three different platforms. All right, for my music. So they're three different ones, and they have different ways and approaches as to how they give you clients, you know, how they are formatted. And I like all three, but I realized that one of them, the way they move, I'm seeing so much responses, and I kind of noticed why, uh, and I see why as I study all three, and they all, have their demands and what, and their stipulations and what's required. And what I try to do, I try to meet all those requirements that they ask for, because it's like they're saying, if you do all these things, your profile will be 100% ready. And I've done that with all three of the platforms. I've had my, if they requested X amount of photos, I had photos. If they requested video clips, I did that. They requested a bio, I did that. For example, but I realized that the way one of the platform operates, I see why I get most of the, I would say, attention there, and I get most of the responses there, and most bookings there. I see why, and this after 10 years, yo. All right. As of lately, I did join one that was maybe under a year. So two of them is like over 10 years, and one is over 1 year. And I'm watching that one over the year, and I'm comparing that one with the one I had started 10 years ago. Okay, looking at that first 1 year 10 years ago, and the most recent 1 year on this particular platform, and I see the struggle this new one is having opposed to the first one that I did 10 years ago. So I'm like, sometimes it's important to kind of do evaluation and see where you want to put your energy and your focus. So I found that the one that is really, really just very responsive and uh very I would say they seem to be adapting to the audience well. I find that that's where I shift my focus. All right. And as I do that, I see that more things are happening to where now I'm seeing them almost booked up for the entire year. Not by accident, but I paid close attention to what was happening over the weeks and months, and I said, what can I do to make changes? And as I made those changes, right, I remember there were times when I felt that I wanted to make some changes, but I waited so long, nothing happened. And the minute I made a change, I realized that, hey, things are now different. And so sometimes there's some red flags you look for, and you just kind of see how and what's taking place. And this somehow is somehow of a testing thing still, because you're always testing and growing and and learning. So there's always testing going on. But pivoting also is important to look at when you want to make that change. So based on what I have experienced so far, and from you, the audience, um, I've seen your strong responses. I've seen your thoughtful comments, and I've seen your engagement. But I've seen on YouTube, I feel the attention is needed there, and it's needed there now for the purpose in which I'm trying to convey the message I'm trying to convey. All right, there's a message that I'm trying to convey, and it's based around the next 3 years. And I think that this other direction will get there faster, get the message to you faster and more, I would say, maybe in bite size, maybe more effective. Now, there are folks who maybe diehard podcast viewers. There are folks who just watch everything. They're on YouTube, they watch a podcast, they may do a little TikTok, they may do a little Instagram. They're very eclectic that way. I don't really know because I don't have that data. But I noticed that the YouTube is giving me a bit of a. I see the almost immediate kind of we call it response, which is encouraging. Now the podcast is something that I'm not totally would say I'm abandoning, but I would say the shift may be something that is key at this moment based on what it is I'm sharing. And like I said, I'm very grateful for having the responses offline that I'm getting, which is really powerful, or the online offline approach as well, because some of it is online and offline, kind of half and half. But I find that the YouTube thing is a very responsive, and I really like that. Um, I mean, I would like for you to think about watching me there as well. If you watch me here, next level, my YouTube also is called Next Level with Keith. All right, and it would not be, I think, a difficult transition for you if you see me there. I keep some of the same ideas, same topic. I talk about things I think that is interesting. It's not as long, you know, and I know that a lot of you don't watch the entire show. I know that. And for those of you who watch the entire podcast, if you're done so, mm, I tell you, I appreciate that. But I think that a shorter me at this point may be more effective. Get to the point and kind of be a little more um, centered, not as widely spread out. All right. On YouTube, the links are there. So if it's the book, you can get to the book the same way. All right. If it's the links to whatever I'm sharing, it is still there. All right. If it's linked to my social media platform, it is still there. All right. So it's pretty much had a similar effect to what's happening now. It does that. I think it's more of a, I would say, for me, a little more concise. And I think that I have a much better handle on the feedbacks and the responses and just how I connect with the audience there. So I stay excited. Like I say, I stay excited. I don't really get all bent out of shape. And I hope that you don't feel too disappointed or disappointed. Like I said, I'm not going anywhere offline. I'm just transitioning um, to a bit of a different pace. All right, different pace. I think I love to share and talk and connect, but I think at this time, um, action taken, responses to me is going to be a driving factor where I think my energy needs to be. All right, compliments are wonderful, but action to me is really the key to what it is I'm sharing. And so that's why I am making this shift. Now, like I said, this is over 21 uh episodes I've done season one, and the few I've done in season two that started. But on my podcast, there are a lot of information. And a lot of my podcast is also on my YouTube page. You can go back, you can listen, you can, you know, get reacquainted with some of what I said because I've said quite a bit, I've shared quite a bit, and with this network that has helped me so much and helped me to really put out these things, it to me is very wonderful, and I think it's still empowering, and it's not going anywhere. One thing about these programs, you can always go back and listen and glean from what I've said and get some ideas on what I've said and grow from there. If you see the need or find the alignment there, that this can be something to enhance your own outlook and your some of your goals. But I am truly excited and thankful for this network, how it has really helped me to grow and gave me the confidence to make decisions. Yet sometimes maybe uncomfortable, sometimes maybe a little bit, uh, I would say, challenging. But I think that it is very important to pivot sometimes. I know that we in times when uh, when we're going to see changes in our world. And thank you for the viewership. Thank you for your message just now. Thank you for that. But we're in a world where things are moving rapidly, and I feel that I have a somewhat of a mandate. I don't know what it is. Something in my heart that I need to get this out to people ASAP, and I need to share it with as many as I possibly can, and in the most effective way that I can. I really believe that, and I think that that other platform is going to be a lot more effective in me doing so. And I'm getting that vibe already after just 1 week of giving that attention there. So please feel free to leave your comment. Feel free to respond. And I want to see you on my YouTube channel. I want to see you there. I am still excited about sharing what I'm sharing. I have some new things that I want to implement there as well. I have some surprises there as well that I want to implement, and I want you to know that as my gift, if you for the first 10 persons, that's my gift on my YouTube channel. For the first 10 persons who get to my YouTube page and respond to what I'm offering, you'll get the first your first initial starting paid forward. All right, paid forward. So that way you'll have no risk in getting started. All right. Once you get started, you just use my email. I'll be able to know who you are. We can communicate from there, and I'll pay it forward. The first 10 persons who actually get on my YouTube channel, you can find me there, of course, at Keith Merritt, of course, and that's at and KeithMarrett, or the next level with Keith. That works as well, and I will be able to be a blessing to you that way. Because a lot of folks sometimes they think, well, I don't want to pay nothing out, and I get it, all right. And sometimes folks may say, listen to me, I want to see how it works first. I just did a, I just did a kind of implemented a new service, and they gave me 7 day free trial. All right. So companies sometimes do that. They kind of give you a time to feel it out. They don't always ask you for money up front. They don't do that all the time. Sometimes they say, you know what, I'll give you a month to try it. If you like it, then you continue. Um, and if you don't, then hey, some say, listen, you can try it and pay, and then if you don't like it, you get your money back. All right. So it's all different ways that we can do it. But for the first 10 persons who get to my YouTube channel, and you have the description box, you know where that is. And on the YouTube channel too, they have that little image underneath the title. Click on that. It opens up and it gives you all the links that's there to wherever you need to go. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. I'm not gone. I'm not gone. I'm only transitioning here. All right. I'm not gone in online space. I still have a Facebook going. I still have my Instagram there. I still have my YouTube going. And LinkedIn, I'm not there that much, but I have a LinkedIn page and I have my music page for those of you who want to use my services. You live in the tri-state area, New York City area. I cover that area pretty much. and I'm here for you. And I hope that you have gained a lot over the last 3 months. A lot of you have said, listen to me, you've been inspired, you've been you've been moved to make some decisions, you've been awakened, you've been ignited, you now don't want to procrastinate. I've seen those messages. And I guess now it's time to move, time to really make it happen. And like I said, my YouTube will give you even more of a fine-tuned, direct, shorter version of what I'm doing, what I'm trying to implement. But the next 2 years, folks, is very, very serious. And what you do now, not next year, not the following year, what you do now will affect the next 2 years. And so what I'm sharing is for the masses. For folks could be in Africa, it could be in Asia, it could be in the Caribbean, it could be in Europe. All right. It's there for you. And I think that this is a great way of from exposing it using the online space. I'm happy to be having the success that I'm having offline. I'm happy for that. And like most of us may not have the internet space or the internet we call it the internet tools that you would like to have. Maybe you don't have the data where you live or certain things. But what I'm sharing uh is not heavily dependent on that, which is also very important. So you don't have to have a YouTube channel to be okay. You don't have to have any major podcasts. You don't have to have any LinkedIn account or Instagram account to do well in what I'm sharing. That's the beauty of it. All right. So I want you to take time out and transition with me to my YouTube channel. That's the next level with Keith. I might be back here again doing some podcasts in the future. Like I said, it's a great network and they've really, really done a great job as you can see. They make me look good all the time. They're very, very, very good. And I highly recommend them. If you're looking for that network to really explore and to see how you can, advance what you're doing. This so far was for me a great, great experience, and I want you to just contact me at my YouTube channel, The Next Level with Keith at gmail.com. That's my email to reach me. Shoot me an email, and for my YouTube channel at Keith Merritt. All right, contact The Next Level with Keith at gmail.com, and we can just have fun. We can keep it going, keep the fire burning. All right. Again, I'm excited. Thank you. This amazing network, Coach Ministry. Thank you for just your support and just always making it happen. All right. One thing I can say about this network here, they make it happen. All right. They make it happen. So again, let me say thank you for being with me here tonight. And thank you for those behind the scenes, the engineers, those that help to make it work, make it happen, for getting me through season 1. And so far, so many shows in this. We are definitely thankful for your help. And thank you for your kind word, Michael Ministry. Thank you, thank you. I could see if I can read that for you guys. It's very nice. We we serve with pleasure, and we congratulate you and are happy for you. See, that's the kind of persons I'm talking about. This is the kind of network I'm talking about. They are for you to make decisions. They're for you to grow. They're for you to choose you. I like this about this. The one thing I was told recently: choose you. Those are powerful words. So well said. And I look forward to currently working with them. I've not left the network, so don't get it twisted now. All right, I'm not left the network. I'm still with the network in terms of just the areas that I can work with them and they can work with me and so forth. So thank you for everything again. And thank you for making the next level living, uh, I would say, a great one. God bless you. Thank you. And see you on the next level with Keith on my YouTube channel. God bless. Have a good night and see you soon. Bye now.
If today's episode spoke to you, it's because you're ready. Ready for your money to work for you. Ready for practical steps, not just motivation. Ready for faith-led financial freedom. Ready to build stability, peace, and confidence for your family. You're not alone on this journey. The Next Level isn't just a podcast. It's a movement toward freedom, one episode at a time. Stay connected. Listen anytime at podcast.keithmerritt.com. Explore the Next Level Movement Hub. Subscribe on YouTube at Keith Merritt. Like, share, comment. Your engagement helps this message reach more families. Take your next step. Visit keithmerritt.com/impact/the next level. Subscribe for the latest blog from the Freedom Resource Hub. And join the Next Level Resource Network. Choose the hub that fits your journey. Music and speaking, family protection, digital learning, passive income, or Keith's book and reading hub. Press play. Take action. Your next level is calling.